Good morning. This is Sandra Brown of Happiness Past 60. And yeah, have I got a story to tell you? I've never feel like a release to tell this story. But for some reason, it needs to be told. I'm not trying to make this a sad story. It's actually turned out to be a really good story. How I got here. And I'm thinking about, I don't have a note. I don't want to do that. I just want to talk to you. Bill went to men's Bible study, and I thought, throw some makeup on, comb your hair, and let's do that. Last night we went to, yesterday was my birthday. I was 81 yesterday, and this is probably why this is on my mind to tell it. And it involves my mother, so I really didn't want to be telling this, but actually she wasn't ashamed of it, And she would be way over 100 years old, and she's gone, and all her friends, anybody that really even knew her, so I guess it doesn't matter now. But, okay. My father, when he married my mother, she had 2 boys. With each one of the boys when they were born, my mother wanted a baby girl. She always wanted a baby girl. She got my oldest brother. His father passed away when he was 18 months old. He had grand mal seizures. They didn't have any medication for that at the time to help him. And then she remarried, and that marriage was bad, had a child, my brother Neil. There was some abuse there, and he wasn't good to my oldest brother, Corky. So that's Corky and Neil. Corky's a nickname, that's all we ever called him. So my mother left her second husband. She had been moved to Oklahoma, moved back to Indiana, Cedar Lake, Indiana. And she had known my father probably all her life. He was about 4, almost maybe 5 years younger than her. But while she was gone in Oklahoma, he was growing up, and he was an adult now. So when she came back home to live with her parents, well, my father always loved her. And he wanted to marry her. Well, she was in a situation she needed taking care of. I don't know how she felt about my dad, but he was a little guy, he was very handsome, but a little guy, and she was married to some really handsome looking men and more successful maybe. But Dad had a rough upbringing. He was raised almost like an orphan. But he did love my mom. He was just crazy about her, and he did everything he could to get her. So she did finally marry him. And he was very good to my brothers, very good to them. He took care of them, raised them like his own. So she ended up at one period of time. I'm not saying my dad was any angel, because he wasn't. He gave her a hard time in a lot of ways. He really did. He was always in a good mood, but yeah, he wasn't perfect. Okay, I just can't tell. All right, so she ended up getting pregnant again, and again she wanted a baby girl. And she had a little boy who would have been my only full brother. The other 2 brothers are my half-brothers. And they named him Wally after my dad. He had auburn, this is what Mom said, that he had auburn curly hair and dimples in his cheeks, and he just was like a little cherub. He was so cute. And I think at 5 months old, she said he was so cute, he was just starting to fill out how babies do. And he ended up getting pneumonia. Well, they didn't have penicillin at that time, so they lost him. And I just remember her saying that it was my dad's only child. He raised her 2 boys, so this was his boy. And it was a bitter, cold, below freezing day, the day of the funeral. And she said it just killed her to have to lay that baby in the ground in that cold. And my dad went out and bought him his first pair of baby shoes for the funeral. So Mom went into a depression and grief, of course, over this baby. Now, my dad, this is stuff I really shouldn't tell. I'm trying to think of a way to tell this nicely. I don't know. But my dad wanted to help my mother through this grief. Well, they didn't have, so they were using, how do I say it? Condoms? Okay. It's not a bad word. It's just what it was. That's all they had then. And he decided to take Mom's grief, into his own hands. So he took one of the condoms. I shouldn't be telling this right. But it's just a miracle of our births. But he put a hole in there. I don't know how big the hole was, but he put a hole in one. Hole in one. And I think that's called. Well, but anyways, that's how I got here. I squeezed through. And of course, that sounds like, okay, well, that all went good. Well, it didn't, because she did not want to be pregnant. Didn't. I would think he's probably still giving her problems. He was a good man, but, you know. And she just did not want a baby. So I think she maybe consulted with a friend, was talking about it, and her friend came up with an idea. She said, I'm going to get you some quinine. I think it's a stimulant of some kind. And then you sit in a bathtub as hot as you can stand, and you'll abort the baby. So that's what she did. So she took the quinine and she got into a bath so hot she could hardly stand it. I don't know how long she stayed in there or what happened, but guess what? I didn't abort. I was still here, but I was hot, yeah. So then she decided to go to an abortionist. Well, my dad, I guess, he took her. He drove her there. And I'm not holding this against my parents, please. They didn't know me. They didn't know. To them, to my mother at this time, and to all the mothers, that what they were taught is you're just a blob of flesh. We see all these images now of babies before they're born, but they didn't have this. And my mom wasn't raised in a Christian family, so, she didn't seem to have any guilt talking about it. She had had abortions before. It was just a form of birth control then. Sad to say, it's just how it was. But they drove there, and he parked the car right in front of the abortionist office. And I don't know what happened. I don't know the conversation. I don't know. But she changed her mind. She just decided to go through with this pregnancy. And then as the pregnancy went on, she was wanting that baby girl still, that she had never had. And she went out and she bought a little pink coat and bonnet. And I remember her telling me that my grandmother, her mother, said, you're going to feel funny if you have another boy. You got that pink coat and bonnet. And she said, no, I'm going to have a girl. So Christmas Eve, they had some company over, not, I don't think a lot, they didn't. They lived in a little house in Cedar Lake, Indiana. And they had some company over, and she went into labor. And one of the ladies who was there, well, they called the doctor. The doctor came to the house, and I guess I was born there in the bedroom. And one of the ladies there was assisting in the birth. She'd never done anything like this, and she was really excited about watching me be born. And he gave her a cloth with chloroform on it, and she's supposed to hold it over my mother's nose, and then just for a short period, then you take it off. And she was so excited about watching, she just kept the chloroform over my mother's nose. Well, I don't know what the doctor noticed. Mom must have been going, you know. And if Mom would have died, I would have died too. And he knocked it out of her hand, and he yelled at her and says, "What are you trying to do, kill her?" So I'm like, oh, there's another one. I almost didn't make that one. And then I was born Christmas Day, and she got her girl. And lo and behold, 23 years later, I had a baby girl, and she was born on Christmas Day. Isn't it unbelievable? And Mom and Dad dearly loved me. And I almost didn't get here. And there's so many other instances in my life where I don't know if it's Satan or what, or just life tried to take my life. But, you know, none of us are accidents. None of us. And no matter how you got here, whether you were adopted out or you were abused and unwanted, it doesn't matter. You were wanted by God. The Bible says he knitted us in our mother's womb. He just put us together in our mother's womb because he's got a purpose for us. Part of my purpose, I believe, now I have great grandchildren. One of them's in heaven now, but a little boy, I have great grandson, and I have 6 grandchildren plus a step grandson who's like my own. And you know, they wouldn't be here, and so on and so on, right? It's kind of like that It's a Wonderful Life movie, right? But it was just, I just felt like the story needed to be told, and I don't know why. And this is nothing against my mother, because she was a good mother. My dad was a good dad. They loved me. And then when I was 13, almost 14 years old, my mother she'd already had her child. She had another child, another girl. Yes, my sister Debbie, who I'm very close to. Now our siblings are gone. My brothers are gone now. And my sister and I are the only 2 siblings left. We're very close. And I come to know, I became a Christian. I was the first Christian in my family. And probably if it wasn't for me, I don't know if my sister would be born again. I don't know for sure. But I can just think of all the things. And here I am on YouTube. And hopefully my being here has brought somebody to the Lord. I don't know, or helped you. So I can see all the purpose that God has had for my life. So no matter how you got here, if your birth was perfect, look at Jesus. Look at Jesus' life. And how they had to flee, that they were trying to kill him. Oh my goodness. You know, and look at his purpose. So we don't know what it is, but you know, the more the struggle, sometimes you're wondering, why is Satan trying to do me in? But he's not gone, because greater is he that's within me than he that's in the world. Okay, I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this, but it was kind of funny, and it was just kind of eye-opening, and I just hope it helps somebody in some way. Okay, folks, I love you. Oh, now our next Christmas is over, and now we're looking forward to New Year's. Oh, I hope you have a great New Year. I'll add some pictures at the end of this video, so hang in. I gotta go look for before I upload this. Bye-bye, guys. Love you all.